The next stop will be University City Boulevard Station.
Welcome to University City's podcast, where we discuss all things University City. This podcast is brought to you by the City of Charlotte, Truist Foundation, and University City Partners. It's recorded at the beautiful office space of One University Place by the lake here in University City. Hello, this is Keith Stanley with University City Partners here at our podcast, University City Podcast, focusing on small businesses. We're glad to have partners like the City of Charlotte, Truist Foundation, and our UCP, University City Partners team, in addition to One University Place, where the group is allowing us to tape right here. So we're pretty excited about that, and we are joined by a very special guest, a small business in University City. Christopher, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Christopher Peterkin, University Care Services, non-medical home care here in University City.
Christopher, talk to me. Non-medical home care. What is your business?
Non-medical home care means home care services that do not have to be prescribed by a doctor. So you could call me and we set up something and I can send out services.
So what does the average client look like? Who are you working with?
Families that some have Medicaid, some pay privately, and others use long-term care insurance, but they have needs with their daily living activities. They can't prepare meals for themselves, can't keep their house clean, can't do their laundry, starting to get a little dementia or Alzheimer's, so they have to be reminded to take their medications.
Christopher, I hear the fastest growing population in North Carolina is 55 plus. I would imagine that's the group that you're targeting, that you're trying to focus in on.
Yes, that group is my client, but I'm targeting the family members because they really know and see Big Mama and Uncle Joe kind of deteriorating. Mom, where are you going? Well, I was on my way to the store, but somehow I ended up at the Y because she's starting to forget how to get back home.
How'd you get into this business, Christopher?
Got laid off from a job. Kind of like a lot of people went through that in COVID, 2008. My wife was a nurse at the time and just got tired of hearing her complain. And right when that recession hit, when Obama was becoming the president, I used to be in grocery operations and got laid off, came home, wasn't really worried about it, talked to a friend, wrote a business plan, told my wife, hey, this is what we're going to do. Because I was looking for something that we both could be in control of. And told her, this is something and something I can, I'm operations, I can run it.
I have to say that took some guts to pull together a business plan. And
right. Because
did you get any help?
Yeah, she had to write the policy manual, but she wasn't all the way on board. You know that security piece, because entrepreneurship is not secure. You can fail. And most of us have failed several times before we've seen success.
That's it.
But I've been in it about 14 years consistently, hadn't had to close, I've had to lay and fire and do that type of stuff. But we've always been open.
So how's business for you? How's business looking in 2024?
It's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's out there, but I think staffing is one of the biggest challenges in this business. You can try to grow without staffing, but you've got to have competent people. See, the CNAs, the education is too critical.
So then with that, though, where do you see growth opportunities for your business?
They are pretty much everywhere. I think the opportunities with the part, kind of collaborating with people in the community, the CAP services, the social services, Medicaid expansion. North Carolina, they just added 500,000 more people to the Medicaid roll when they finally opened it up at the beginning of the year. So those opportunities, there's more than enough out here.
Christopher, how do you deal with, you mentioned it just a little bit earlier about, education, but how do you deal with quality control? You are in this realm, in this space where there are certain things you can't make mistakes on. You got to make sure people have the medication. If that's what some of your folks are doing, you got to make sure they're properly trained. How do you address and deal with quality control?
Well, you've got to have, and I think we all know that, the right people around you. And I've got a director of nursing. She's 40 years in. My wife, like I said earlier, my partner, she's a nurse practitioner. So, she can tell you candidly, that's not it, or that's going to get you in trouble, or I'm not signing that because that's my license. So that lets you know something's not right and you have to go fix it. You're constantly doing continuing education, first aid, CPR. I partner with a couple of CNA schools. I partner with the Urban League. They're constantly, putting out new students.
Shout out to the Urban League
Yes,
here in
yes.
Charlotte.
They just recently had a graduation. So always looking for their students because these people, they also, they purge them, so to speak. The background's been checked already. They've passed their test. Their license is legit, and then you kind of go from there.
This is one that's important to me. It's a priority for University City. We are a majority minority, if I can say that term, where part of slice of Charlotte, where the majority of the people who live in University City are people of color. With your close proximity to your staff, working closely with families and family members and individuals, can you shed some light on the cultural differences and preferences? There's a sensitivity there, I think, that needs to be. There's certain people that, hey, you're not allowed to touch this. You're not allowed to engage this way. And if I've heard people say I'm the man of the house, and so I prefer you to speak with me as opposed to my wife. How do you deal with some of those cultural differences as we wrestle or as we welcome a number of different cultural and ethnic groups in University City?
Well, one of the good things is by the time they're reaching out to me, that wall is usually broken down already because they know that person needs some kind of help. So we go out, we do an assessment, and generally you're doing that assessment not just with you because you're going to need the help, but somebody in your family that knows you or that's been spending the time with you, or they've been the primary caregiver. And at that point, it's, hey, she likes it this way, or grandma likes to see, she loves Steve Harvey, so she's going to watch Family Feud most of the day, but when it's, she likes to go to bed at 7:30 or, those types of things, those walls have already been broken down. So that makes it a lot easier.
Switch gears here real quickly. There was a recent report that came out, I think Q City Metro, shout out to Q City Metro, had this a few months ago. They mentioned that Black-owned businesses, the percentage of Black-owned businesses in Charlotte was at 5.3%. Christopher, I'm curious to get your thoughts as a Black-owned business here in Charlotte. Are there any unique struggles or opportunities when it comes to trying to really get your business, as I'm going to say, out the mud?
It's more than just financial. And the reason I say that because a lot of people will say money first. But I think what I learned, especially during that whole COVID process and things like that, we generally are hustlers. And during that COVID process, you learned a lot of people, their paperwork's not in order. Be legit. That is the key. And when you are legit, all that COVID stuff and all that money that was floating around, it wasn't that. They made it easy to get. And I was reading a lot of articles about how they said we weren't getting the funds. And I was like, wait a minute. It wasn't that hard for me if you produced what they asked you to produce.
Is that insight on making sure you have the right people in place and the right education to make sure paperwork is complete, whether it's an accountant, legal?
No, it's just not trying to move so fast because we get caught up so much in chasing the bag instead of making sure the paperwork is right. And then the taxes, because we don't want to pay taxes. And I went through that when I first started. Those quarterly taxes and all that stuff, I wasn't hitting the numbers. I mean, I'll be honest. I struggled that first 5 years trying to hit that quarterly number when you got to make that payment.
Well, I said, Christopher, I appreciate that honesty. I think that as we are trying here in University City to support locally owned business, they need to know some of these challenges, and they need to embrace it and figure out how to address them so they're not dealing with things that they don't want to deal with.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they better go across the street to the Women's Business Center.
Yes, let's give a shout out to the Women's Business Center located on UNC Charlotte's campus. There's some great people over there, John Hamm and a few others that are doing some great work. If you can look them up, they are very helpful. We're about to wrap this up, but just a couple more questions I have for you. First of all, what's your vision for University City? You've been here for quite some time. You've seen it change. What is your vision?
I just want to see the community just finally flourish like the South End and as Uptown kind of moved. You look at South End and NoDa and Ballantyne and all those different places, and it's almost like we got left behind. So if we can just, be able to do those things or just look like that and get that amount of traffic and economic development in our community, I think that's a win.
I'm so glad you said that. I think it's important for people to realize what is occurring in University City. We talk about our new library that's coming online next year, a $40 million library, which got some great technology and resources for our community. We were happy to announce earlier this year about Vanguard that took over the Centene building, $1 billion asset, and now we're going to have 2,400 to 3,000 employees at that site. There is much to be had in University City as we continue to grow. And Christopher, I'm so glad you were able to join us. Where can people find you? If they're interested, you got an address, you got a website, a Facebook, an Instagram, all that stuff that people talk about.
Yes. universitycareservices.com, 704-962-9533. That's my office number, cell phone number. I used to use my office number, but I'm out in the field, so just call me on my cell phone. It's okay. It's not a problem.
Yep.
Social media, I'm on LinkedIn and those things more so than I am Facebook and those types of areas.
Understandable.
Yes,
Understandable.
but it's all under my name, Christopher Peterkin.
Christopher Peterkin. Christopher, thank you for joining us today. It was really insightful. You brought some insights that was new for me learning about University City. So thank you for this time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the University City Partners Podcast. We are a city within a city. Follow us on social media.